Hi.
Hi.
Finally, we get to chat.
I know.
I'm gonna go right into it though, because I only have 10 minutes with you, so I don't want to take up all that time. Tell me, what was this audition process like for you for the prom in the middle of shooting another iconic movie? I know you showed up to the trailer, to the West Side Story set with hair clips in your hair, asking everyone if you looked like you were in high school.
You've been talking to Rachel Zegler, or at least following her on Instagram. It was a crazy experience doing one iconic film and auditioning for another one. I was so excited at the opportunity to audition for Ryan Murphy, but I was also, I was very aware that I was like, I might look a little old, so this might not go my way. But I'm very grateful that it did, because I just feel such tremendous responsibility towards representing this life experience. It's not often that young queer girls of color get to have their stories told in mainstream media. So I'm so proud of what we've made. I'm proud that Ryan championed me and gave me this opportunity. It's literally been the icing on the cake that was my 2019.
Who was the first person that you called when you got the role?
My mom. I called my mom when I got the role, and she was like, "No way!" She's always been so excited and thrilled for anything that I wanted to go after and achieve. She's one of my biggest supporters.
You told me on opening night of Yiddish Fiddler,
yes,
that last time we saw each other in person, that you were hesitant about doing West Side Story. But what about the prom? How was that different?
They are very different films in regards to subject matter, in regards to how I relate to them. And I will be very frank, like, I'm a very instinctual person. My instincts kicked in on West Side, and I was like, do I, I'm not sure. I think I was scared of the possibility of success, because to achieve that goal of getting that dream job, when you're finally staring it in the face, it can be very scary. But then ultimately you make the choice and you dive in, which I did, and I had so much fun. So I think walking into the prom, having had my experience with West Side Story, just enhanced my confidence, and I didn't feel as new as I had before. I have a theatrical background. I've been working on stage for such a long time, and making that transition onto film, it's challenging, but it's one that I'm having such a good time with. And the more that I get experience on camera, and the more that I get the opportunities to work with amazing people like Ryan Murphy and the cast of the prom, the better I get at it, or the better I get at the execution of it, I think.
This role is very special to you in so many ways. Tell me about what parts of your own life did you bring to Alyssa Greene?
Alyssa and I are inherently very different, but we do share some similar personality traits. We both have a perfection complex, and we both care very deeply about what other people think. I was raised to believe that your reputation, it goes a long way. And I always want to put my best foot forward. And I believe Alyssa is very much the same. But with those traits come, a lot of pressure that ultimately you're putting on yourself. And I think that learning how to find that balance is very important, especially for young people. But in regards to standing in your power and your truth, I think I have had a slightly different trajectory. I was really lucky that my mother was so supportive when I decided to have that conversation with her. She literally said, "Oh, that's great. Okay, moving on."
And you were like 10 or 11 and having a conversation in the car, you told me.
Yeah, I was leaving a dance class, And I think that's where my understanding of sensuality really first took off, dance and body language and appreciating the physical form, like for me is derived in my love of dance. And I think being able to have that conversation with my mother in that way was very helpful. It's very helpful to me. um, yeah.
How did you prepare for that very emotional scene with the one and only Kerry Washington when you have to tell her, your mom, in the movie that Alyssa was gay?
you know I don't know that I did prepare for it. I think I just went with it. I think that lived experience um, is very specific, and you don't have to work that hard to conjure it up. I think every young LGBTQ person, I'll rephrase, every person who identifies as LGBTQ has that experience, and it's very visceral. It is the most brave, vulnerable act that you can express. It's incredibly risky to be seen in your full truth. Um, and and you I don't know that anything really prepares you for it. It just happens. And I think in the film, you see in the context of the film, she's running with it, right? It's like she's going to the gym. I don't think she really knows that it's going to happen. And then all of a sudden it does. And that's the power of being present, right? When we're all fully present, the truth comes out, and it's a really beautiful thing. Albeit sometimes you don't get the answers that you think you should, or the responses that you think you should, but the truth is still, it's so powerful.
What would you tell your 17-year-old self after stepping into Alyssa Greene's shoes?
I would tell my 17-year-old self that it gets better, that your chosen family will find you, and that you should go with the flow, because the circumstances, the jobs, the friends, the family members that are meant for you, they find you. And just trust your path.
You have worked so hard. Last night I was watching a video of you from your debut in Bring It On, and you were crying in the dressing room. It was just so, great to see your trajectory. And so now you've got three of the biggest movie musicals where you're in. How do you stay grounded through this rise in celebrity that you now have?
That's a great question. And I remember that moment that you're talking about. And my Broadway debut was Bring It On. And I couldn't believe what was happening then. I still can't really process all of my journey, if I'm really honest about it. But I will say, in order to find balance, I've had to really reinvest in my personal life, right? I think it's really important to make sure that you are full, and that the relationships you have in your life, you dedicate time to. It's like I try to invest in my friendships and the relationships that are most important to me, because the people in your life, they have you. They support, your support system is everything. I couldn't do what I do without my support system, without my family and my chosen and otherwise. I literally I wouldn't be talking to you. Yeah.
Paloma told me to ask that question and said, make sure you ask her this. Um, Shout out to her. But I want to ask real quick about Sophia Deller
Yes.
and Vashti Mumpoint, because both of them are doing amazing things. Sophia was in a Jimmy Award winner, and so you had like minimal scenes with her, but scenes.
But she's so great. I mean, both Sophia and Vashti, beautiful women of color, just on the steady grind, right? They're both really great examples of following their authentic path. I mean, Sophia's still in college. To have the opportunity to make the prom while you're still in college. I mean, watching her tackle her material and adapt, and she took direction so well. I'm just so proud of her. She was a delight to work with. And Vasti, I've I've been circling Vosti for a long time in the Broadway community. So to finally have the opportunity to work on the Prom film with her was really, really special. And it was also special because she's an original company member of the Prom on Broadway. And I loved that we got to have her there. She, I'll be honest, she kept me honest. Just seeing her face, I was like, yes, I'm on the right path with this character. And I can also say about Vasti, she has one of the biggest hearts in the history of the world, and she's so supportive of other women, and because she believes women who empower women, like we all fix each other's crowns. She's so great. She's one of my role models. Shout out to Vasti.
She has an amazing story too with all of this.
Yeah.
Choreographing one of the scenes with you and Joellen in the middle
Yeah.
of the pandemic. And I'm sure Charlotte Dembois is proud of you. Bibi Newirth is so proud. Like you're following in these footsteps of some of the most amazing dancers.
It's mind blowing, to be honest. Charlotte's been my mentor for such a long time. Part of my, the success of my starting in New York is because of her. She gave me a place to stay when I didn't have one. She and her husband Terry have always given me great counsel, um, and then I became acquainted with Bibi Newirth in the last few years. But I talked about it in Dance Magazine recently for their cover issue, December 2020. I walked out of the Palace Theater. I'd seen Aida as a teenager, and I walked out and there was this massive billboard of Bibi Newirth as Velma in Chicago. And that was the first moment that I realized, wait, that's Lilith from Frasier. She does Broadway and she dances? Oh, this is tangible. I can do this. That was the moment that it clicked in for me. I don't know if Bibi knows that, but I adore both those women. And here's the thing I can say about both of them: they're true triple threats, and it's an honor to follow in their footsteps. They are more than one thing. They're powerful, powerful beacons of light, and I'm just honored to be a woman of color, following in their footsteps and joining their ranks. And I'm grateful that they have accepted me. They've always made me feel welcome, the two of them. I'm very grateful for that.